Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Eddie Marcus. I've been away for a little bit. Now I'm back. And I got some good facts. For those of you who love good facts, I got them for you. You know, lately I've had the experience of getting around for a bit. I had a 50-year high school class reunion down in Mississippi, and it was a stone gas. I was blessed. And then we had a family reunion in Memphis a couple of weeks after that, and it was a stone gas. And then, most recently, we had a trip to Chicago, had to visit the sick and those we love that we haven't seen for quite some time. And that was a stone gas. In fact, I just got back, but there's something that was more exciting than I had anticipated when I went. I hadn't planned to really go to a church service because I'm not really satisfied that those services were designed for me, or if they were, then I have graduated. And so I just thought maybe I would not really give it any serious thought. However, I did take a pair of dress pants and a shirt, didn't take a necktie. So if I did decide to go, I could put that on. My sweet, beautiful wife took a dress. And so we really didn't get there till Saturday night, and the next thing you know is Sunday morning. So are we going to go to church or what? Well, there is a church there called Vernon Baptist that was spoken of. And they say you can go there wearing jeans, titty shoes, and when you want to come, just come. And it was fine. And so, if I was going to go, I definitely felt more comfortable with my jeans and tennis shoes on rather than trying to put on dress pants. However, my wife got a chance to put her dress on, and she looked real gorgeous. So she, my sister, and I, we went on over to the service. And let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. You've heard many preachers preach. And they basically talk about saving your soul and wonderful things like that. Beautiful message. But this preacher was a different kind of preacher, kind of young preacher. But he was really on the money. He talked from the scriptures, Genesis 3 and 13. And he was talking about how God had Adam and Eve in the garden. And before them, he said, was available to them everything in the garden. It was unlimited, whatever they could do, except one thing. And that was to eat from a specific tree. Now, I see that tree as being disobeying me. In other words, I have made you. Adam and Eve, and every last one of you, I have made you. And having made you, I prepared everything that your imagination might bring to you to desire and to want. I have already prepared it. The resources that are there outside, embedded in the earth, on the earth, above the earth, whether seen or unseen. And the gifts and talents to produce and abstract and cause a manifestation, I've put a piece of it in each one of you. In each one of you. Now you have to decide how you want to do this to have heaven on earth. You know, everybody wants to go to heaven, so you got to figure out how to do this puzzle. And this brother was speaking, and he was speaking about that separation. That first separation was the beginning of being dead. It was actually death. To be separated from God is to be dead. And so this is what happened. And you know the story. But man was separated from God, and man took the power that God had given to him and gave it to another voice other than God. And we have been in bondage ever since. But I recognize now, ladies and gentlemen, that when this preacher was telling it, he was telling it in such a way it was receptive and the people could understand it. He wasn't fussing. He didn't seem to be angry like you know I often do. And I'm thinking to myself, what I really enjoyed the sermon. I really did enjoy it. And I'm not going to tell you something that happened to me specifically. I'm not going to say anything about that. But it was all tied up together. And I walked away from that service feeling like I had been blessed. I had seen energy. I've heard songs. I saw the people responding to with the spirit, the move, the emotion, whatever you want to call it. And it was all good. And I thought I'd come back and I'd share that with the people that I'm around here in Minnesota. But then, ladies and gentlemen, I've been giving this stuff some serious thought. There's always a message for those who are looking for the message. You see, I have said to you that my truth and understanding of God is based upon a miracle that happened in my life. I couldn't see God. I couldn't feel God or touch God or anything like that my senses would permit me. But the evidence of God's existence was right there, and that evidence was me. I'm still here, even in all that time. Because of that act that no human being could have ever done anything equal to it. And so I give that to a power that I can't see. I keep telling you about it, that great power. And that power has said something to you that most of you haven't heard, or you heard it and turned away because you didn't want to hear it. That was on a channel that you just didn't want to focus on. But having the liberty to speak to you right now, I'm going to tell you what it is. You talk about peace and you talk about joy and freedom and all that good stuff. There's only one way you can achieve that. And that's by following the master's plan. Not following some Republican or Democrat, some man or some woman, some straight or some gay. Following that stuff, some American or some other. No. Some group. None of that stuff is going to get you heaven on earth. There's only one giver of that plan. That's the giver of you. That's the giver of the earth. And all that the earth is, it's the giver that has the plan that would create heaven on earth. And so, I just tell you what the plan is. The plan is to love. Now you say, what the heck does to love mean? Especially since Tina Turner says what love got to do with it. Well, I want to tell you, love determines whether you experience heaven or stay in hell. So this is what happened. When it comes down to love, love means this. You got to love all of God's creation. And when you love humankind like yourself, you got to love them as you love yourself. That means want for them anything that is required to give them the same peace and joy and freedom and life and fulfillment of your dreams that you would receive. And you so love them that anything that you saw that would hinder that, you would engage yourselves to prevent it. You will not allow it to exist. Even though the whole world might have given in to it, you will fight against it because you are love, and that's what love does. That's what God does. Now, you're living in a world, ladies and gentlemen, where evil, if you stood up for truth like that, evil will kill you. Let me say it again. If you stood up for truth like that, evil will kill you. And at the same time, I want you to know that love demands that you stand. If you won't stand, if you stand most of the time, and you stop just for a while, you don't love. Love would not permit you to stop. So you say, well, what if should I die? The answer to that is, of course you should die. Of course you should die. What you represent is heaven on earth that only God can give. And it's love for the whole dead human race. And if somebody kills you, or the public empower evil to kill you, then that's because that's what the people deserve. The people are not ready for heaven on earth. The people are not qualified for heaven on earth. They deserve the degree of hell that they are experiencing every day because the law of nature says you shall reap what you sow. And if you're so in darkness, and you know that's because you follow darkness, you have to You have to make up your mind. You have to change your way. I mean, you got to do that. You got to take back your power from the systems of the world that you live in. And you listen to one voice. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. Listen to one voice, and that's the voice of God. God will not deceive you, but God will teach you by listening to God every step of the way till you've been brought yourself into heaven no time. God is a true teacher. I'm telling you, and you will be free. The message is in the garden where they say that snake came over and talked to Eve. Well, you know what they say snakes do. But here is the picture. The whole message that a lot of people miss is this. Someone came to these people, or the woman came to these people and told them something. Something, a snake, a man, whatever the truth of it is, came to this Eve, and if it's true, and told her something. And she listened to it. Now, as long as she was listening to God, what I mean by listening to God, I mean being obedient. What I mean by obedient, being natural and real. And you have the indication that there's something that you must not do. Disobey God. You must not disobey God, because the day you disobey God is the day you go to hell. And the snake is coming here telling this woman something. And this woman listens to this something. So now you got the woman stop listening to God and start listening to something. Now you got the woman turning around talking to the man who's been listening to God, but now for one reason or another, don't really know what it is, he turns around and listens to the woman. In other words, everybody's listening to somebody else, but rather than listening to the spirit within. Rather than listening within the spirit, they don't have faith of the spirit within. They have faith of the spirit that somebody said was in some other man. But they don't have faith that they can have the spirit within them. And so they give it to somebody else. And in Russia, you say you don't want to be like the Russian people. In North Korea, you say you don't want to be like the North Koreans. Even back in Hitler's day, you say you would not want to have been like the German people. In the Philippines, you say, in Central and South America, you say you would not want to be like these people. So, what does that say? That say that you're setting up, looking at all of these people that you don't want to be like, and you got nothing that you can do to rectify that situation, but just condemn it. Well, that's an absence of love. That's an absence of love. And so, when someone who God has chosen to stand before you and tell you the truth, and you don't know it, you ignore it, God isn't even mad with you. It's just you flunked the course. If you flunk the course, you can't graduate. You got to go through the stuff all over again. And I don't know what that means. I know you're not going anywhere. You're about as far from heaven. Let me tell you something. When you die, you're about as far from heaven as you are from heaven right now. When you die, you're just as far from heaven as you are from heaven right now. Because the only way you can get to heaven is if you're living in it. You see, when you die, you are a spirit. And like God, you can't be seen, touched, or feel in this human dimension. Now, that doesn't mean you can't be seen maybe some other place. I'm not saying you can or can't. But you can't be seen here. You're like God. And what happens from that point on, I cannot tell you. I'm not going to even try to think that I have some idea what's going on. But I do know right here I do know right here. You, the people, we, the people, hold all the power of heaven and earth. God has given it to us. He's given it to us collectively, because if collectively we could experience heaven on earth right here. He has given it to us individually, where we become free without faith in God and standing up to any element that is against God. God will empower you to stand. That doesn't mean he won't let them kill you, because he is the light that's shining in you for their benefit. And if they reject it, you got no other purpose to be here. You like a light bulb that if the wattage is gone out, you got no business being here. If that switch has been flipped and say we don't want you here, and that means to kill you. And to do that, what other graduation can you do? What other graduation can you do to say that you have a relationship with God that's so fantastic, and you are ready to exhibit that relationship before the human world so that they can know the God that you know? And there is no greater way you can prove to this world that your relationship with God is real unless you withstand death. Because see, it's about money and it's about the gun. Death and faith. Faith is the key to freedom. Faith is the key to freedom. To stand up in spite of everything. Just stand. Stand up in spite of everything. Just stand. And you won't have people living in the ghettos. You won't even have any ghettos. You won't have people doing stuff that is despicable. They don't have time, because now they are alive and they are living. And they are giving in a circle, a vicious cycle as well. That's constantly introducing new fantastic wonders to the human experience. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say that sometimes when I try to say this kind of message to you, I think about what pains you're really going through and how you find it very difficult to listen to the truth. And I can't stop bringing you the truth, because that's my job for being here. And I get angry and I just scream at you. I forget that you don't know any better. I forget that many of you, most of you, probably all of you, just got to suffer some more. You got to suffer some more before you can begin to want to think. You just feel comfort in your pain and suffering, because you really haven't had anybody to tell you about God. So even though I've got 18 minutes here, I'm going to see if I can wrap it up in a few seconds. God made the world and all that's in it. God made you to put it together that you can have heaven on earth. The power to do it is in your hands alone, if you want it. Now, if you are wise and you can just figure this puzzle out and put it together, you are fantastic. But if you can't put it together, you're going to try all kinds of things over and over and over and over again. But if you're concerned about it, you'll pay attention. And if you pay attention, then it would be registered in your memory, and it would take you long to overcome this. But anything that you want, you got to try to strive to get it. And if you want peace and all this other stuff, you got to strive to get it. So if you're looking for that, then you engage yourself in the creative process, because you got a talent. And as you create all that man is about, then it belongs to all of you. One family, the family of God, being led by the Spirit of love, creating for them heaven on earth. And ain't no money in it, ain't no bigotry, ain't no hate, ain't no lies, and none of that stuff in it. And only God can do that. Ain't no Republican, no Democrat, no black, no white, no man, no woman, no gay, no straight. You got to be real. You got to be real. So I hope that you get this message that these Republicans ain't going to do nothing for you. These Democrats ain't going to do nothing for you. Look at I'll have to say this, I know you might not want to hear it, but look at the fundamentalist Christians and evangelical Christians on the right. They are saying right now, even though they used to act like they were standing for the things that I've shared with you today, now they say they want power. They want the ability to manipulate how other people act, rather than leave it so people can make the decision about how they want to act, because they are going to be rewarded or punishment by the power of the Almighty God. They can't see, can't touch, can't feel, but when the pain comes, they'll know it, or when the joy comes, they'll know it. So it depends on what you choose. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for giving me this your time, and I'm going to turn it loose right now, and maybe tomorrow I'll be back, no doubt. and I'll share with you something new. I'll probably bring some of this back to you too, and it'll just be in a different form and fashion. But in the meanwhile, this is Eddie Marcus saying for right now, don't forget, write-in Eddie Marcus, 2020 U.S. President. It's a write-in campaign for you. Those of you who want the truth, those of you who can receive the truth, I need you to reflect the truth in getting the word across this nation that God loves the whole world and God has a plan to bring all of your joys to fruition. And I want to let you know that this campaign is about that, but it can only happen by you, the people. You got to get to do the votes. You got to make sure that enough of you write it in and say Eddie Marcus. And having done that, you're going to have to make sure that whatever is required to get these joys and pain is given. And it has nothing to do with violence. It's about love. Until next time, goodbye.